46. That's the number of presidents who have ruled over our country. Well, 45 to be exact, as one of them served 2 non-consecutive terms. From George Washington to Joe Biden, these leaders have shaped our nation into what it is today. Some of these men are considered great, while others, not so much. But let's face it, they're all just humans making decisions based on their experience, as well as mistakes like any other human does. But what if we had a brand new president with one small feature? No human factor. Could an AI president finally make our country as great as many want it to be? Could it solve today's global problems? And finally, just make our lives better? There are a lot of questions, but I've already got some answers, because I asked ChatGPT what it would do if it became president of the United States, and over the course of this video, you'll find out its plan. But don't jump to conclusions thinking an AI would promise the moon and the stars, because it's not that simple. We'll get into that in just a moment, but right now is the perfect time to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and ring the bell for notifications so you don't miss out on the new video coming next week. And now, let's jump into it. Now, you might agree that AI couldn't create its presidential plan without knowing what's happening in the world right now. So, it would only be right to ask the ChatGPT about it first. So, ChatGPT, do you know the current events as of August 2024 in the United States and globally? Tell us simply yes or no. Yes, I know the current events as of August 2024 in the United States and globally. Imagine if we voted for you, and then you became president of the United States. How would you describe your political identity? Would you be right-wing, left-wing, maybe a centrist? Keep it casual, like we're just having a chat. If I became president, I'd probably be a centrist. I think it's important to find a middle ground and take the best ideas from both sides. My focus would be on practical solutions that help everyone, instead of sticking to one strict ideology. It's all about working together to solve problems and make things better for all Americans. Well, that sounds great, but we need to have a concrete action from you. Tell us, what problems do you see in the United States today? And here's the answer. When I look at the United States today, I see several major problems that need attention. First, there's the economy. People are really feeling the pinch with high grocery and petrol prices. It's getting harder for families to make ends meet. Second, immigration at the southern border is a big issue. We need to figure out a way to manage it better, balancing security with compassion. Third, gun control is a hot topic. There's a lot of debate on how to keep our communities safe while respecting people's rights. Fourth, abortion rights are highly contentious. People have strong feelings on both sides, and it's important to find a respectful and fair approach. Fifth, affordable healthcare is still a struggle for many. We need to make sure everyone can get the care they need without breaking the bank. These are some of the key problems I see, and tackling them would be a top priority. It's all about finding solutions that work for everyone and bring us together. Well then, how would you solve all of these issues? Which laws would you reverse, and which new laws would you implement? Give us clear solutions to these problems. Sure, here's a straightforward approach to addressing these issues with clear solutions. Economic solutions. 1. Increase domestic oil production to reduce reliance on foreign oil and lower petrol prices. Invest in renewable energy for long-term independence and price stability. 2. Support local agriculture to boost domestic food production, reducing transportation costs and grocery prices. Improve supply chains for more efficient and cost-effective transportation and storage. Immigration. 1. Create a clear pathway to citizenship for undocumented immigrants who contribute positively to society, including requirements such as paying a fine, learning English, and passing a civics test. 2. Enhance border security with more personnel, better technology, and improved infrastructure. 3. Streamline the asylum process to reduce case backlogs and ensure fair hearings. Gun control. 1. Implement universal background checks for all gun sales to keep firearms out of the hands of criminals and those with severe mental health issues. 2. Support red flag laws to temporarily remove firearms from individuals deemed a threat with due process. 3. Reintroduce a federal ban on the sale of assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. Abortion. 1. Ensure the rights established under Roe v. Wade are protected, maintaining safe and legal access to abortion services. 2. Expand access to contraception and comprehensive sex education to reduce unintended pregnancies. 3. Increase funding for maternal health care and support services for women who choose to carry their pregnancies to term. Affordable health care. 1. Introduce a public option that allows people to buy into Medicare, providing more competition and lowering overall healthcare costs. 2. Allow Medicare to negotiate drug prices directly with pharmaceutical companies. 3. Encourage states to expand Medicaid to cover more low-income individuals and families. Clear legislative actions. 1. Reverse laws. I'd work to reverse any laws that restrict access to healthcare, including those that limit women's reproductive rights and those that prevent price negotiations for medications. 2. New laws. I'd implement laws to provide tax incentives for local production and job production, establish a clear and fair pathway to citizenship for undocumented immigrants, implement universal background checks for all gun purchases, create a public option for healthcare, allow Medicare to negotiate drug prices. These solutions aim to address the root causes of the issues while providing practical, balanced approaches that can gain broad support. By focusing on common sense measures, we can work towards a better future for all Americans. Well, alright, now we know ChatGPT's vision on solving internal problems, but what about foreign policy? There are a lot of issues beyond our borders that America's deeply involved in. How would AI see relations with China and NATO? How to solve the problems with Iran and Russia? And what about our relations with Israel and Ukraine? We'll be asking about all these right after you hit that like button and check to see if you're subscribed, because if you haven't yet, now is the perfect time to do so. And by the way, we do have a playlist with other videos where I ask GPT about Biden, Trump, elections, and all of these things, so remember to check it out after this video. But now, let's get to the final part. So, ChatGPT, tell me, how would you solve tensions with China? And also, what do you think about NATO? Some people say that we don't need to be in it and spend money on it, but what do you think about that? Tensions with China. To address tensions with China, I'd balance deterrence and cooperation. Strengthening military and economic alliances with Asia-Pacific countries like Japan, South Korea, and Australia is crucial. Increasing the U.S. military presence in the Indo-Pacific region, particularly near Taiwan, and implementing targeted sanctions against Chinese companies involved in aggressive actions would be key steps. Supporting Taiwan with defensive weapons and intelligence, while engaging in high-level diplomatic talks with China, would emphasize stability and peaceful resolutions in the Taiwan Strait. Raising human rights concerns and building international coalitions against abuses in Xinjiang and Hong Kong would pressure China to improve practices. At the same time, continuing cooperation on global issues like climate change and pandemics would maintain positive engagement and reduce overall tensions. Regarding NATO, I believe it's a crucial alliance that enhances our national security. While some argue that we spend too much money on it, the benefits outweigh the costs. NATO helps deter aggression from other countries, including Russia, and provides a platform for collective defense, which is far more cost-effective than going it alone. Plus, it strengthens our ties with European allies and supports global stability. However, we should encourage other NATO members to meet their defense spending commitments to ensure a fair distribution of the financial burden. Alright, well, now tell us how you see the solution to the Middle East problems. Should we help Israel? What about Palestinian rights? And what should we do with Hamas and Iran? We need concrete steps from you, my artificial president. Certainly, here's a concrete steps approach that addresses these concerns. To address tensions in the Middle East, a balanced approach supporting both Israel and Palestinian rights is essential. For the Israel-Palestine conflict, facilitating direct negotiations between the two parties is crucial for creating a framework for a two-state solution. This would involve establishing clear boundaries and security arrangements to ensure mutual recognition and peaceful coexistence. In dealing with Hamas, it's important to support Israel's right to defend itself while advocating for precision-targeted operations to minimize civilian casualties. Using advanced surveillance and intelligence sharing with international oversight can ensure compliance with humanitarian standards. International collaboration to diplomatically and financially isolate Hamas, while supporting moderate Palestinian factions with aid and recognition, can weaken Hamas's influence. Ensuring humanitarian aid reaches Gaza through monitored channels can prevent resources from being diverted by Hamas. It is important to recognize that the methods Israel uses to combat Hamas have resulted in significant Palestinian casualties. The U.S. should continue to support Israel's right to defend itself, but must also push for Israel to use methods that minimize civilian harm. This includes leveraging diplomatic influence to encourage adherence to international humanitarian laws and practices that protect innocent lives. Addressing Iran requires a multifaceted approach, re-engaging in diplomatic negotiations to revive and strengthen the JCPOA, ensuring stricter safeguards against nuclear weapons development, and offering economic incentives for compliance are essential steps. Maintaining and enhancing targeted sanctions against Iran's government and key sectors, specifically targeting their support for militant groups, can apply necessary pressure. Strengthening alliances with Gulf countries and Israel through joint military exercises, intelligence sharing, and coordinated defense strategies can promote regional stability. Supporting non-governmental organizations within Iran to promote democracy and human rights, and using international platforms to consistently condemn human rights abuses are also important. Concrete steps for lasting solutions. Organize an international peace conference with key stakeholders to work towards a comprehensive peace agreement in the Middle East. Include Israel, Palestine, neighboring Arab states, and international mediators. Provide international peacekeeping forces in conflict zones to ensure security and stability for both Israel and Palestine. Implement education and cultural exchange programs to build understanding and trust between Israelis and Palestinians. Foster youth programs that encourage dialogue and cooperation from a young age. These concrete steps aim to address the specific challenges and work towards lasting peace and stability in the Middle East. Okay, lastly, how are you going to end the war in Ukraine? Will you lift the restrictions on our weapons and provide even more support without fear of escalating the conflict? Or will you cut down or even cut off aid and let Russia win? Or will you keep things as they are today and simply not let Ukraine be conquered? To address the war in Ukraine, my approach would involve a combination of increased support and strategic diplomacy to help Ukraine defend itself while working towards a peaceful resolution. Firstly, I would not cut off aid to Ukraine. Instead, I would increase military assistance, including advanced defensive weapons and intelligence support, to strengthen Ukraine's ability to resist aggression. Simultaneously, I would maintain and possibly intensify economic sanctions against Russia to pressure them to cease their aggressive actions. These sanctions would target key sectors of the Russian economy and individuals within the government and military apparatus. Diplomatically, I would work closely with NATO and other international partners to ensure a united front against Russian aggression. This involves increasing NATO's presence in Eastern Europe to deter further Russian advances and reassure our allies in the region. Additionally, I would push for renewed diplomatic efforts to find a peaceful resolution to the conflict. This would involve direct talks with Russia, Ukraine, and other stakeholders, facilitated by neutral parties to negotiate a ceasefire and eventually a long-term peace agreement. Throughout this process, it is crucial to remain steadfast in supporting Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Cutting off aid or reducing support would only embolden Russia and undermine the principles of international law and self-determination. By combining increased military support, economic sanctions, and diplomatic efforts, the goal is to help Ukraine defend itself, deter further aggression, and ultimately find a peaceful resolution to the conflict. Well, that all sounds good, but one last question. Do you really think you could implement all of those internal and external policies to make our lives better? Tell me, what should we expect at the end of your term? If given the opportunity to implement these internal and external policies, I am confident we could make significant strides toward creating a safer, more prosperous, and equitable society. By the end of the term, you could expect a more resilient and dynamic economy, improved access to healthcare, a humane and effective immigration system, safer communities, and a balanced approach to women's reproductive rights. Internationally, stronger alliances, reduced tensions with key global players, and a more stable Middle East and Ukraine would contribute to global stability and security. Achieving these outcomes would require continuous effort, adaptability, and collaboration, but the vision is one of tangible improvements in both domestic and foreign policy spheres. With dedication and the support of the American people, these policies can lead to a better future for all. Well, there you go. That's pretty much how GPT's presidential term would look. But what do you think about it all? Do you agree with its policies, and would you like to have such a president? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below, but don't leave just yet because I've got one more AI prediction for you. Check out this video where I asked ChatGPT to predict the next 4 years of a potential Donald Trump presidency. And trust me, there are some takes that could shock you. Thanks for watching. Be sure to click on that video and I'll be waiting for you there.